Time for a little fun here. So I've got each one of these scopes set up in a normal trigger mode, so no auto trigger. And then there's this little demo board which puts a square wave signal, but it's got errors in it, intentional problems. So let's see, this scope here, this is considered a high-end scope from the 90s. Not the highest. I do have a 3 gig scope, which is probably the highest bandwidth from the mid-90s for real-time scopes. This one's a 1 gig scope, 4 gigasamples a second. So this one's from the 2000s. So this is a 500 megahertz scope, and it'll run at 5 gigasamples a second. So this one's the high-end scope, running at 4 gigasamples a second. This is a mid-range scope running at 5 gigasamples a second. It's like a decade later. And then again from the 90s is an entry-level scope. Hewlett-Packard. Remember when Hewlett-Packard made scopes? Hewlett-Packard became Agilent, which became Keysight. And so this is an entry-level scope. But they're all set up. You can see this one's in store mode, which is going to be like infinite persistence for this kind of a scope. And this guy is set up as well with a normal trigger, and it's in infinite persistence, as is this guy. So when I allow this demo board to work, I'll just connect it up here like this. You can see it. Oh, yeah, okay, it's putting out a signal. You can see the LEDs flashing. So here's the mid-range scope from the 2000s, and it's capturing waveform problems, and you can see this is about waveform update rate and how often it's capturing problems. And you can see it's captured a couple of things. Meanwhile, the high-end scope from the 90s is captured significantly more than the mid-range scope from the 2000s. So while the sample rate is 4 gigasamples versus 5 gigasamples, the waveform update rate is significantly faster on this scope, this older scope, than it is on this one. And again, this is really the entry level for the Windows-based scopes back then. So it's not doing too badly, but it's not doing as well as this guy. Meanwhile, how do you think the entry-level scope from the 90s is doing? Problem? There's a problem? And yeah, that is in infinite persistence. I can actually go here, we'll change the position here, and you'll see that as I change the position, it's writing infinite persistence. Anything's happening, it's gonna leave it on the screen. It hasn't captured a thing yet. Nothing's happened. Meanwhile, back here, it's still capturing. There's problems. And this guy, he's still not doing too badly. So this is the difference in waveform update rate. When a scope can really go that much faster than a scope like this scope, you won't know what the problem is. This scope, you're going to find out what the problem is faster than this scope that's 10 years newer, because of the level of scope it is. So this scope here being a 784D, the 700 series was replaced by the 7000 series. If you look at this guy, it's the 5000 series. So there is a really different level. If we were to look at a 7000 series from this era, it would be as quick as this guy, if not faster. But that's my little demo on waveform update rate. Still waiting for this one to pick up something, anything. Bueller? Hello? This is probably starting to overrate problems. Yeah, you can definitely see it is. Multiple times, multiple hits. Even this guy's doing that. One last shot. Anything? No. Hey man, signal looks fine. Don't know what you're talking about.